that rain? Is that rain? Huh? How strange, how strange. How to spray them clouds with them planes. Deep pain inside of these veins, huh? Deep pain in these veins, huh? How strange, how strange. How they got these fibers, these strains. Gotta work for a living all the while. Gotta work for a living, oh I. And I suppose from the highs and lows, lies are told when in July it snows. Pinocchio can't hide his nose any more than the camel can hide his toe. But who am I? I don't know nothing. I don't know no thing. How about I take my rapper thoughts and go smoke some rapper weed? They got a coffin if you sleep, R.I.P. Then the elite trigger tsunamis using technology. HAARP.
No escape, no escape, no escape. HAARP music. HAARP music.
HAARP.
Let it rain, let it rain, let it rain. HAARP music.
Whirlpool, earth move, observe the truth of what words do. Words do more than just search you. Words alone fill up church pews. Words alone change the outcome, make you reconsider taking nurse school. Words alone make you pay attention to the problems that you never worked through. Bird food for the mind, brainwashed over time. Life expectancy on a decline. Vaults up in the sky, I look up and I ask, wow, oh Lord. It's hard to tell what freedom is when you gotta die for it. And I ain't got that much time to be waiting. Yeah. I guess I just ain't got the patience. I'm sick and tired of debating. Yeah, the fuck I look like out here slaving. You call it complacent, but you basic.
HAARP music.
HAARP.
No escape, no escape, no escape. HAARP music.
HAARP.
HAARP music.
HAARP.
Let it rain, let it rain, let it rain. HAARP music.
HAARP.
Bands of that is not rain, that is not snow. Believe it or not, military aircraft flying through the region, dropping small bits of aluminum. Sometimes it's made of plastic or metallicized paper. Now, they won't confirm that, but I was in the Marine Corps for many of these bands of that is not rain, that is not snow. Believe it or not, military aircraft flying through the region, dropping small bits of aluminum. Sometimes it's made of plastic.
Okay, this song is about those white lines in the sky, called Look Up.
My job in the U.S. Air Force was working in bioenvironmental engineering. So throughout 9 years, I worked as an industrial hygienist and an environmental specialist. I want to say around 2006, I started kind of opening my eyes to how the military wasn't really what I thought it was. And people approached me knowing what I did for a living and said, have you ever heard of chemtrails? Well, I hadn't. And that sparked my interest. So I went online and I looked at chemtrails. I saw a lot of, debunking, a lot of sites that were just kind of calling it a conspiracy theory. And I thought, well, geez, this is what I do for a living. Preventive health, making sure that people are not getting sick, especially in the workplace, and by things that we're doing that can affect, human health and the environment. To summarize it, in an attempt to debunk this conspiracy theory as I thought it was, I didn't debunk it. It literally changed my life. Like I said, this is hard for me because it's not easy standing here and telling my story. One day I was going through that computer system, which if you want to...
In the car, 23rd of June, around 10 o'clock. As you can see, we're coming back onto the property at Cooran, Queensland. Put the high beam on. Look at it. That's a roof light bar lighting up whatever the fuck that is in our sky and all around us right now. It is not
breathing that in.
Has anyone seen that? That is out there tonight around southeast Queensland. Light up the fucking area around you. Look at it, and it's not hitting the ground, it's floating. We first noticed it when we started driving into town and noticed floating fog that wasn't hitting the ground. And now we've just really taken a closer look. Look at the particles, look at the billions. I swear it looks like some of them are fucking moving independently.
Yeah.
They are, see
They
it?
are.
Like little lights?
Little lights coming down.
Yes,
Can you see
yes,
them?
they're electrically charged.
Yes, they are.
Holy fuck. I don't know if you can see it, but they're electrically charged. You can see them coming down. Holy fuck. Babe, look at that.
That's incredible.
There, no, it's a moth. Oh. Yeah, I don't know if you can see what we're seeing, but you can see electrically charged lights, little luminescent lights coming down in it. Like particles lit up.
Particles that are bright.
That are brighter than the rest, or just activating. Holy shit.
Look it up. It's called an Air Force Form 3952. It is the approval of hazardous materials. I was finding tons and tons of large quantities of aluminum, barium, strontium in the forms of oxides and sulfates. So I started asking questions. And at that point, my demonization began.
Hello, old friend, how long has it been? I don't think I've seen you since we were 16. Tell me, how are you? Oh, how the time flies. I heard you're a pilot, cruising the skies. It was your destiny, it was your dream. We used to play airplanes when we were 16. Tell me about all the things that you've seen in your wonderful world, in your flying machine. And he said, flying those planes ain't as great as it sounds. I have a story that's sure to astound. There's something quite evil that happens out there, and all of the people are so unaware. You see, I was ordered to fly and to spew a hazy white cocktail, a chemical brew. Have you ever wondered why skies are so grey, and gone are the blue skies from back in the day? Look up to the skies and ask your government why they're spraying their chemicals over your head. It's almost as though they want everyone dead. Look up, look up, look up. Look up to the sky above. The air that you breathe has been compromised. Please look up, look up, look up.
So then I get moved over to the other Air Logistics Center. There's only 2 in the Air Force. I started finding the same things at Robins Air Force Base. I conducted air sampling, I conducted soil sampling, and I was getting high levels of these contaminants. When I started asking the question again under a new commander, I never in my life thought I would have somebody look me in the face and tell me, I am questioning you. Is there something wrong with you? You've been looking really depressed lately. You know I can put you under a mental evaluation for up to 120 days. Who would take care of your daughter? Because I was divorced at the time. As soon as I...
Do you guys see this? So there's the sun. Right there. The Schumann resonance blasting. I've never seen it look like that before. And look at all those trails. So if you're starting to put the pieces together, remember Bill Gates said they want to block out the sun? They don't want the sun to beam down on us because we get vitamin D, we get all sorts of amazing benefits and light that helps structure our water in our body. It brings life to everything we see on the ground. And so they block it. Now they block it, then they spray things that come down into our food, into our soil, into our plants and our water systems, into heavy metals and all sorts of things that now get leached into our body. They turn on the Wi-Fi 5G to microwave for us from the inside out, and all of a sudden point fingers and say, oh, global warming. You guys, Mother Nature makes no mistake. That is not normal clouds, yet the light continues to shine on the truth that is being shown.
For that, I knew. It validated everything I ever thought. And I thought, I've spent 9 years of my life trying to protect human health, and here we are, violating law after law after law. Just sitting here, instead of protecting the people, we are poisoning the people.
Some people, they see those little white lines, assume that it's normal, assume they're benign, but nothing could be much more further from true. Those lingering chemtrails are poisoning you. They poison the ground and they block out the sun. A chemical warfare against everyone. A toxic geoengineering campaign. Do you know of anything more inhumane? Aluminum, barium, strontium too. Ingredients found in their chemical brew. The crops getting drenched with a poisonous rain.
It seems probable that one of the projects for modifying the global climate discussed by Fletcher in 1965, namely modification of cloud cover over the North Polar Basin by cloud seeding, is already underway. Up until the mid-1970s, documents suggest the establishment desire was to intentionally melt the Arctic sea ice, to free up shipping lanes, access rich resources and open up vast regions of ice-locked land. And adversely, climate changes could likely be blamed on the anthropogenic global warming to instigate the beginning of global governance through United Nations Agenda 21 Sustainable Development Programme to create the New World Order. When one begins to research the history of weather and climate modification, it is surprising how far up the power structure the desire for developing a large-scale weather and climate modification programme was, from Presidents Eisenhower, JFK, Johnson, onwards, with a high priority put on these possibilities. The Johnson administration was using weather modification for geopolitical leverage with India and Pakistan in 1967. We do not need to be scientists to observe the sky and see the obvious negative effects aviation is having and research the spiraling health impacts. Just start looking up and wake up. We do not consent to the use of weather and climate modification or the despotic New World Order. God bless and peace for all.
You want some figures? Okay, latest water test. Tested the rain. 13,100 micrograms per liter of aluminum in the rain in 2013. Normally, it should be 0. So 13,100 is pretty damn much, folks. It used to be 0. Then it was 100s in the 2000s. And then since 2010, it's into the 1000s and the latest 13,100. In the snow on Mount Shasta, pristine Mount Shasta, 61,000 feet, no, excuse me, 8,000 foot level, 61,000 micrograms per liter, 4 times the amount that is found in the soil up there. Where in the hell is this stuff coming from if it's not coming from the soil? You know, these tests are international in scope. We're seeing this all over the world, guys. Okay, pH of acid soils is 20 times more alkaline. The aluminum in the soil has doubled in the last 10 years. Aluminum blocks essential nutrients. I am unable in my garden to restore normal pH, and that's because nanoparticles are now in the circulatory systems of both plants and humans. So welcome, fellow guinea pigs. the collapse and decrease of agriculture is something I worry about even more than the previous info about autism and Alzheimer's.
Here with Kristen Megan, she's a military veteran, right?
Yes, I was in the U.S. Air Force for 9 years.
Wow. And you came out and blew the whistle on geoengineering, things that you witnessed were going on. Can you give us the real nutshell?
Absolutely. Basically, I had heard of what many people know as the term chemtrails. And I worked in a job called bioenvironmental engineering, and I thought that was insane. And why would we do something like that? Modify the weather by using hazardous materials in our atmosphere? So, and actually the process of trying to debunk it or disprove it, I realized it was actually coming right out of my office, as I was one of the people that was approving the chemicals. And it really shook the core of my oath. And I did a lot of sampling, a lot of investigation, and I blew the whistle and I got out. And I've now used my credentials, my oath, and my powers for good to help people understand it's very real. It's now openly admitted. There are multiple forms of weather modification. I specifically found the one of stratospheric aerosol injection. And collectively around the globe, we have to understand that it is now being admitted because they're saying it's combating climate change. Well, the climate change we need to be worried about is man-made climate engineering, also known as geoengineering.
And when you say you had chemicals being pumped into the air, what kind of chemicals are they putting out that rain down on humanity, basically?
Nanoparticulate metals, like you had different sulfates and barium and strontium. I know it's probably changed over time. I know they use silver iodide for certain things. But these are, the odd part of it was the quantities that I saw them coming in, the form that they were coming in. And it's the same type of materials that I was trying to engineer out of the workplace to substitute with safer materials. And when you notice that what's called the safety data sheet, the information about a chemical of what personal protective equipment to wear, how do you dispose of it, how do you pack it to ship it. When key information is missing, I ask questions. And my questions led to demonization, and I knew I found something I shouldn't have.
That's insane. So these metals are basically toxic for the humans, I would presume, or?
Yes, because it also has aluminum, and a lot of people will tell you, well, these things aren't horrible in small quantities. It's not small quantities, because when you are putting things above us, the dissipation rates are dependent on weather and climate, but it's getting into the food, it's getting into the soil. And around the world, wastewater treatment plants, when it comes to pharmaceuticals, or these toxicants is what they're called, they are not able to filter them out. So if you're growing organic food, you know, are we going to go back to the plexiglass barriers on our plants? I mean, it's horrible. That's why you can ban it anywhere. We've had states in the United States ban it, and that is great to get the ball rolling. But people really need to wake up to it, irrespective of any political party. It's not okay. And you're seeing a huge increase in neurodegenerative issues like Alzheimer's. It's really difficult for people with respiratory issues and asthma. And people are wondering why they have allergies 24/7, 365.
And I liked what you said about that climate change, or the change we experience in weather. Often we can't disconnect that from these geoengineering activities. Do you want to say something more about that? I mean, how do we feel that? Is there proof or so that is definitely coming from that?
Yes, there are places that openly admitted it. Remember Dubai? And then when people got upset, they retracted it, but the can was already opened. And the issue is, I know this sounds silly, but when you watch movies with time change, they say if you do something and something changes, it changes the ripple throughout time. If you are modifying the weather, you are messing with Mother Nature. And meteorology is a very, very thorough study. And I do know a lot of it because of my profession of plotting hazards. But it does not make sense when you are altering nature where things are not naturally supposed to occur. We had massive flooding in California, and we have a system called HAARP that is in the United States. And the same people who demonized me 5-10 years ago are now going, wow, because they're finding it's openly admitted in all of our U.S. documents. The U.S. is absolutely not the only country doing it.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, thank you very much for coming out on that and letting humanity know what's going on. Thank you so much, Megan.
Thank you.
With metals so heavy they clog up your brain. causing diseases, it's so sad to mention. Neurological problems, Alzheimer's, dementia, and people get sicker and sicker. The haze in the sky just gets thicker and thicker. A dastardly crime against humanity. Big Pharma are rubbing their hands gleefully, 'cause the more that they spray, then the more is their wealth. The more that they spray, then the worse for your health. But you're all looking down, and you're all unaware. Far too distracted, too busy to care. But I'll blow my whistle, and I'll shout in the streets, until all the people just look up and see. Look up to the sky, and ask your government why they're spraying their chemicals over your head. It's almost as though they want everyone dead. Look up, look up, look up. Look up to the sky above. The air that you breathe has been compromised. Please look up, look up, look up.
I replaced 98% of my own noodle with nanotissue years ago. Well, mine's different. It's built to send, to transmit, whereas every other nanocell that I put out there, including the ones in your head, Cable, designed to receive. I think it, and you do it. We're talking every Slayer, everyone in society, provided they're within range of my transmitters. You're thinking small, Cable, but not as small as me. See, nanocells are real small, 1,000 times smaller than these dust particulates. You inhale it, they go to work, replicating, spreading like a virus, multiplying in exponentials. 6 months' time, I could have 100 million people converted. Not one would be the wiser. 100 million people who buy what I want them to buy and vote how I want them to vote. Do pretty much damn well anything I figure they ought to do.
45 countries, 950,000 aircraft, 450,000 pilots and ancillary positions, 100,000 engineers and scientists, and over 15.3 billion cubic feet of chemicals per day. From altering weather to altering minds, the Global Chemtrail Project, or GCP, has persisted over the last 4 decades as one of the most successful global campaigns in human history, and continues to push the boundaries of delivery and experimentation to this day. With over $200,000 trillion of investment into the GCP since 1991, chemical alteration of the environment has ranked as the #1 source of reinvestment and GDP growth for 16 countries in the last 5 years, and has created over 2 million jobs over the last 2 decades.
Well, that was the last time I saw my old friend. A tragedy happened I can't comprehend. He took his own life, or so it was said. Apparently shot himself twice in the head. My old friend was silenced for telling his tales of flying machines spewing toxic chemtrails. But his story remains about what those planes spray. And when I look in the sky, I can still hear him say, look up to the sky and ask your government why they're spraying their chemicals over your head. It's almost as though they want everyone dead. Look up, look up, look up. Look up to the sky above. The air that you breathe has been compromised. Please look up, look up, look up.